Welcome everyone. How we doing? What's up everyone? How we doing? How we doing? Thanks for being here. How's everybody doing? How was trading today? Pretty fun one, I thought. Good day. Am I a fan of order blocks? Pretty tricky question. Not necessarily. I trade some of the strategies that order blocks are based around, but I'm pretty anti the guy teaching order blocks and stuff like that. So I won't say that I do trade order blocks. When done effectively, it can work really good, but otherwise not so much, it's kind of a flawed system. Can I go over the first trade that I took? Yeah, like right now. Let me try to find it. I got it. Oh, it's all cleaned out. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I gotta look it up. I don't remember the first trade I took today. Oh yeah, okay, got it. It was apparently some 469 SPY calls was the first thing that I hit today. So oh yeah, well, we can pull up my chart too. Yeah, the first trade that I took. So the first trade I took was a long. Oh yeah, I remember this trade. Now I see it with my chart on. First trade that I took was a long on the hard red wheat futures. No, okay, here we go. First trade that I took was this was looking at the pre-market trend. I like the different indicators on too. So let's look at let's really see what I was looking at. Oh yeah, so first trade that I took, I was looking at this trend, just set from pre-market, I always like to, I've talked about it in a few of my classes, but I like to take note of any trends that are forming before the market opens. There's no denying when we look down here, there's like, there's not a lot of volume, like some of these candles like 15,000, 16,000 volume, this was a big one, 56,000, but some of these, 4, 5, 6, 7,000 volume. So you can only put so much weight on any of that after hours movement because it's happening on such low volume. What's up, Ricky? How we doing? But I still like to take note of trends. So watching market open, watch trend break on the very first candle. I look to buy the pullback. It says that my first order on 469s was filled at 645. So chances are I waited for this candle to close around this trend. Looks like I was risking it with it closing below that trend. I guess maybe I bought it right as this one opened or something, but 645. Oh yeah, 645. So start of this candle, somewhere in there, I was buying these. And I filled them. Hold on, I got to go back to my order history. I filled them, looks like I filled them at $77. So have no idea. Oh yeah, looks like I bought them on this red candle. Then my sell order was filled at 652 for $90. So I got like 20 bucks off of this one candle. And then I got out and then it exploded, and then those things ran to like 200. It looks like, after I sold for 90. So that was my first trade of the day. Super simple one. Just this break, risky because you have the EMAs here, but a pretty defined risk for me. I mean, it was going to be 50 cents, 40 cents a downside was what I was looking at the worst, so that early in the day, even on same days, you can pretty well look at your delta. I'm sure the delta on those contracts was sitting somewhere around 40. I didn't look, but I'm sure the delta was around 40. So the risk was about 20 bucks to, these lows that we had set previously. So it's going to be risking 20 bucks, ended up making 20 bucks on the upside. Wasn't necessarily a planned one risk, one reward trade, but that was how it worked out in the end. Thoughts on Comcast, huh? I haven't looked at that chart in quite a long time. I like Comcast. Welcome everybody. Oh, I gotta make one more post real quick, and then we'll look at Comcast real quick, and then we'll get to the lecture here. Sonny, how we doing? Jose, how we doing? How we doing? Welcome everybody. Welcome. We're just gonna check out this here Comcast chart real quick. Obviously, pretty slick double top we had up here while back, downtrended for what appears to be months. I'd basically be looking at a trend, something like that. Not looking good, giving up that 43 all the way down to here, down to here. Not really in a position that I would like to trade anything on it right now. I'm sure that there was a bunch of people, the bulls were hoping on a bull flag up here, and we have a failed bull flag so far. We'll see if it wants to recover up into there, but I really wouldn't have any interest in trading it until we reclaim the bottom of this flag. And I don't like to call things flags necessarily. And let me see. I'd probably draw it. I'd actually probably have it something closer like that is closer to what I'd have my flag. So I'd want to see us reclaim basically this trend and reclaim this 43 and look to, get long back towards the top of wherever this, the upper end of this flag may come from. We can make it a little more specific if we want to. If we can get back up here into this 43, you can look to play it up. I know, it's Comcast. It doesn't make huge moves or anything. That's only like a 40-cent move, but on some in the money 43s, that could be a really nice trade with minimal risk on a stop, down below there. So for right now, I don't love the trade. We're you could say we're sitting at a bit of support around this 42.40, which is where I grabbed that. I see someone saying, how do I get those levels? I wanted to incorporate this wick and this wick because we had dramatic reactions there. Obviously big gap below it. So, not a lot going on there, but then we can see this 42.40 has provided, moves. Something that I like to tell people to do is when you see, like when you have two levels together and you might see candle opens in them, but you don't see a lot of candles closing in them, or they're closing right at the extremes of it. I do like to trade around those areas and understand that they'll likely be strong. So break below 42.40 and we could see some downside. Break above 43 and we can see some upside. But for now, these two levels, at least historically, have done a good job of, either keeping us trapped or providing us a move. So, kind of in the no touch zone for me, you could risk a long to try to catch a bounce like these happened previously. Or if we bounce back up to the 43, you could try to catch a short. But for me, I would still kind of want to see the pattern get itself back into tact. Looking a little ugly with all those EMAs curling down. I got to believe on this move. Yeah, and giving up that. But and seeing the 200-day, if anybody's curious, I just switched to the SMAs really quick, and I like to use the 2050 200, very common on those. 200, always going to be super strong. Typically, if you're getting, especially on the weekly, but even on the daily, stocks, unless they're in a really bad way, don't spend a lot of time below that 200-day. So downside from here seems limited to me. I would be looking for some bounces and some, we're seeing an increase in volume as we are on a lot of these types of value names. I would want to see some bounces, some buyers showing back up, because this thing does, in the grand scheme of things, have some nice upside up here to this 47. Maximum downside, I mean, you're going to have a hard time getting it below this 41.40 ever. So, of course, you don't want to have this $47 price to hit or target. That's like a 10% plus move on it. You don't want to be ridiculous like that. But looking at the big picture, which is kind of what we're trying to do in this lecture, minimal downside from here, whole bunch of upside from here. So kind of, looking for the market to shift back into buy mode on this thing, and then I would likely get long. Okay, welcome everybody. Oh, Danny Grow. Is that really Danny Grow? Nice to have you, Danny. Welcome everybody. Dirty River, thank you for coming. Tonight we are going to be talking long time frame analysis. Danny. It's just Danny now. So we're going to be talking long time frame analysis. Kind of like we just did here on Comcast. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to ask you guys, let's do it on some things that you want to look at. I already know that that's basically going to be Tesla and Nvidia, and I'm setting myself up for failure, but I'm sure we'll end up looking at those. And so we're going to do this long time frame analysis, and I always encourage people, go to the daily, go even to the 4 hour, go to the daily, go to the weekly charts. They have information that us as traders should find very, very valuable, in my opinion. And so you see it all day. People see it in my tab. I post it on Tradefloor. When people ask me charts, you see my levels. You see the levels I trade around every day. I rarely change my levels because I do find them on, for the most part, longer time frames. Obviously, there's some very important shorter time frame levels, previous high of day, low a day, pre-market high, pre-market low, those types of things. Use those as well. But tonight we're talking long time frame analysis, levels that really matter. We can even see it. Comcast has a really big one right here. Basically this 41 is what I would call it on Comcast. You couldn't pay me to be short at 41. We had trouble getting above it, and now, other than an epic earnings gap down, this wants to trade above 41. The market has decided above 41 is good for Comcast, and so you buy it down to this 41. You buy dips on it. If that's what you're into, you buy dips on this thing all the way down to 41. Because we can just look back at the chart and say, hey, 41 is huge. It gives us a very, very defined risk on this. And we know that if we are like getting a strong close below 41, we need to get out of that trade because those floodgates can really open below there. However, that's, I wait for us to make those pullbacks. Like if we come to 41, we can even we can just slap an alert on here right now so that if we come to, and it just ended up 4108, I don't care how specific it is. If we come down to 4108, my computer will now tell me we're at 4108, slap some calls on Comcast. It's that simple. The risk will be minimal right here, 10, 20 cents down. That's all you're going to risk on this trade. So we find those kinds of things from the longer time frames. And so when you see those SPY levels I'm posted in my chart, those aren't some level I found on the 5 minute or the 1 minute or any of that nonsense. Those are daily levels that have had repeated reactions off of them. And so to me, that is something that you really need to, you need to pay attention to those. You need to trade around them. All big names have them. All charts have them. And, we can use one in here. that, last week we got to see it. We'll just ignore these levels, okay? But ignore the names of these levels, I guess. But we look at the Nvidia chart, and I cannot tell you how many times Nvidia comes up to 500, 498, whatever it is, and we beg people to not buy calls. 500 is huge. Why? Like, this is Nvidia. It moves, $7 in the blink of an eye. Why are you going to buy calls when there's theoretically $2 upside? If we're trading 495 or above, I mean, and scalps are fine, all of that stuff, but like, don't be getting into Nvidia long swings at 500 or 495, because you'll get blown out of the water. You will. 500 is huge. We can look at it, and everybody knows I've been adamantly outspoken about not shorting Nvidia unless we're at 500. I mean, it has been a print fest. Every time we have hit 500, we've got a $10 or $20, or even, I mean, a big one, we got a $50 sell off of 500. So to me, the reward is shorting at 500. Wait for those levels to come around and short those. And look at the big picture. A lot of people, like, when you're looking at Nvidia and you're only looking at, this many candles, and you're saying like, oh, it's grinding up, it's going to break out. You might think that that's going to happen, and then you get demolished, of course, but if you just click that zoom out button, really, really look at what the chart is showing you. And even if you aren't, super proficient at technical analysis or anything like that, most people can look at this chart and say, hey, I probably don't want to buy calls at 500, so use those things from the longer time frames, and that's what we're going to kind of cover tonight. How can we identify those levels? They won't always be as simple as Nvidia at 500. Like, Nvidia 500 is an easy short, but they won't always be that obvious on the chart. And so that's why tonight I said, like I said, we'll ask for some charts. Love seeing AT&T in there, best stock ever. Closed out of my shorts on it today. I'm hoping I don't regret it. But what do you guys want to see charted? I see Apple. We'll start with Apple. Apple's tricky right now. Let's get a new drawing set. What's the date? Apple's tricky right now. It got downgraded twice, I guess. And the reaction's been just insanity to me. Like, I mean, Apple being down $20, it's not exactly $20, but it's close enough. Apple being down $20 in 2 weeks is huge. I mean, there's dramatic selling. We can see it down here in the volume. There's no buyers. Buyers aren't showing up. I mean, there's buyers, but not really. I mean, buyers are not showing up. Volume is increasing. Seller volume is increasing. Everything about it says that Apple is going to keep going down. But you need to zoom out and look at the big picture. And so that's what we got right here. We have a blank Apple chart. All I have on there is the SMAs. As I said, the SMAs are gigantic, and so the first thing that we want to look at is right here, this 179.91. I clicked 92. It is what it is. That is where right now the 200 SMA sits. That is a huge level. And so what I always tell people to do is, zoom out, get some more years on the chart. How does Apple behave at the 200? So first one we can see right here, the last time it gave it up on the sell-off through, September, October, whatever that was, we stayed below it for 4 days, and then we proceeded to rally $29 above it. I'm not going to say that if we touch this, we're rallying $29 again or anything like that, but you can see the market was like, okay, hold on, this is Apple. There's no reason for it to be below that 200-day SMA. And so I guess I should describe for people who don't know what these moving averages are. So what this tells us, what the 200 SMA tells us, and this is the daily, so it only moves once a day. What this tells us is, over the last 200 days, are people green or are people red on Apple shares? That's in simplest forms. That's what it's telling us. So, as it stands, we are very, very close to, we are very, very close to a whole bunch of people being red on their Apple shares, which is insane when you think about off the lows. We're up, I mean, at one point we were up almost $75. So, and that was well, 300 and something days ago now. But you have to ask yourself, does the market really think Apple being downgraded by $1 from one guy at Barclays? And I guess we had another one, we went from buy to hold, so not really even technically a dollar downgrade, you know. But we had a guy at Barclays move his price target, just we can just put these on the charts just for, you know, the idea. 161, and he moved his price target down to 160. So we're currently still trading $20 above this guy's price target. So I don't quite understand this reaction just yet. However, when I look at Apple right now, I say to myself, where is the reward on this? And so this is where we start looking for those major daily levels. And so the main ones that I am, you know, everybody should put on their charts, they're the easiest ones to identify, are going to be dramatic reversal points. And these to me are huge. These are what I love to trade the market around. Some people call them pivot points. That's not exactly right. It is a nice way to look at it, but a pivot point is actually like a mathematical thing. You know, a pivot point is a real life thing. And so most people, when they talk pivot points, that's not what they're talking. They're really just talking about a point where the market pivoted. So the first ones we want to look at are going to be these lows down here. And you can see I'm just marking them. I normally don't put my mouse right over them, so I'm kind of bad at that. But I'm just marking these lows, Where did the market take some big reversals? You know, that's all I want to know. And then we're focusing on around where we're trading. So another one that we see, obviously big reversal right here, 182. That's the level that I've kind of been talking about with people. 182.50 has been a big deal. Another big reversal up here. Obviously, we can mark these all-time highs up here. And then you just want to keep going left and seeing what else is there. You know, it provided a reversal, but it also provided a pretty decent breakout once we got above it, you know. Happens to correspond pretty nicely with back here. So at this point, we have our major reversal points marked. I guess we could even kind of do something around here, something like that. And this wick on long time frames, you know, I don't know what happened on this day, June 5th, but we obviously took a sell and something caused Apple to sell off like, I don't know, $6 or something, you know, so that was a pretty big deal. We probably want to take note of that price, you know, so now we have all the levels we could need to trade on Apple. I am going to label this one because I'll probably just use this chart tomorrow, you know. I'm going to label this one as the 200 SMA. And so then the only other thing that we want to look for, you know, are there any major trends or any major trends being broken? Obviously, the most major trend on Apple that we had going for us was this one. And I mean, we've broken it. There's no denying that, you know. The previous trend we had was going to be this one over here. That's pretty, you know, unrealistic price targets, but who knows, you know, who knows what the market wants to do. Long ways below that 200 day. So we look at the market now, big picture. We have some space down for sure. We also have some space up for sure with a similar amount of price targets. However, we can see below this 200 day, you know, I actually kind of like this right here too. So we're going to put one of those on there. Below this 200 day, the sell to 176.50 comes fast if it happens. But for us as traders, you know, intraday, we can look for some pre-market highs and lows to maybe, you know, get us some intermediate levels that are in here as well. Previous day high and low, things like that. But when we look at this as day traders, at least I see this and like, dream come true is Apple coming to this 200 SMA 179. You know, if we give up that 180, people are going to attempt to pile in short, ignoring the 200 day right below us. We might get a little flush below it, but my ideal trade on Apple right now is looking at this 200 day, pull back to basically 180, 179.90 and get long. Keep the stop. You know, you're going to be risking 50 cents a downside, 20 cents a downside, nothing too dramatic. You know, if they're going to sell the 200 day, you're going to know. You can see these like break days on it, whether it's up or down, tend to be aggressive. So if you're wrong, you're going to know quickly. However, to me, Apple is getting to dip by zone. We are fighting bad news. I love to follow the 3-day rule typically on bad news. We got bad news, and about the time the 3-day rule would have passed, we got more bad news. So I don't know if the 3-day rule is technically passed for us yet. But I do like to, start to look for those dip buys, especially on a name like Apple that has sold $20 in 2 weeks. Again, I'm rounding, I know, but it's sold a lot in a couple of weeks. I'm looking to buy this dip all the way down to all the way down to that 200-day. And like I said, I'll happily switch short and try to catch a short below there. I don't like shorting Apple a lot. It's burned me and many people many times. But this 200-day, in my opinion, what everybody should have their eyes on, as far as important levels that we're trading around. That is the level to trade around right now. You don't really want to, of course, scalps, things like that are fine, but you don't necessarily want to be short down here. The downside is limited from where we sit now. You got $1 or $2 downside. The upside, we got like gaps. We have some things that we can run through quickly if we start pushing. So for me, Apple is getting to dip by mode, in my opinion. I'm not going to be diving in at 182 on calls. I don't like that entry very much, but I will if we pull back to 180 for sure. What was the bad news? Just downgrades, that was the bad news. They got the Watch lawsuit, that's gone through appeals court. So it could come back and bite them later. But for now, we're good, or they're good rather. So for me, Apple looking to buy some dips here sooner than later. When we talked in class last week or whenever that was, and we saw it giving up this 20-day, that's what we said, base our trades around here, get long if we want to buy back above it. Obviously we didn't expect anything like this. There was no reason to expect that. But I'm liking it. I'm liking it for a dip buy here pretty soon. How long? It depends what you're trying to trade. I mean, if you're trading these 200-day moves, then frequently, as we saw, if we zoom out on these charts, frequently the moves around the 200-day are large. So I'm not telling you to buy same days or anything like that, but if we are moving around the 200-day, the move will typically come quickly. So if you're trying to play it a little bit longer dated, you don't need to necessarily be trading month out calls. But get yourself a couple weeks time so maybe you can let it breathe a little bit under here. Still need to use a stop. Just because you bought 2 weeks time doesn't mean you need to let a trade get destroyed. You can always look for new entries. But if you're looking to catch a nice little bounce up, maybe, I don't know, to throw a random number out, maybe the 185, 182.50 area, if we pull down to 180, and you want to, get a swing trade, trim your contracts on the way up, all of that good stuff, then you can look, a couple week out calls. Me, I'm hoping for this dip buy to 180 tomorrow to smack a same day and catch like $1 pop out of Apple on an in the money contract is my goal. But we'll see if it happens like that. Or we break down and the exact same thing. Catch another $1 drop on Apple on the same day in the money it's print fest. That's what I know. My ideal dip buy is this 180 right here. Like I said, and it's something I always teach in all my classes, I try to really harp on it hard. If you're wrong, admit it. And I can't wait for tomorrow, because I am talking dip buy, and I cannot wait for tomorrow for Apple to just absolutely die another couple bucks and everyone tell me I was wrong, but rest assured, I will buy calls here. And if I'm wrong, I'll be stopping out somewhere down here, 40, 50 cents below it. That's it. I'll be stopping out and ideally switching to puts and catching some of the downside move, So tag me when I'm wrong, but that 180 looks like a place to be buying. Okay, so that's Apple. Everybody kind of get what we're doing here on these same days. On these not same days, on these longer time frame. Hopefully. And so let's see, what else do we have? I saw some others. Okay, AT&T, Apple, UPST, tricky one, huh? Definitely been getting some love, but we'll hit that one next. And these next ones we're gonna go. Wow, that thing looks horrible. Well, So UPST, upstart, risky business, you know. I mean, God, they just give loans to anybody. Had a buddy with 37% APR loan through them or something like that. Okay. This needs even longer. So on this one, we're going to go to the weekly. And we're going to do the exact same thing we did before. Look for some major, you know, rejection and bounce points. Any of these major breakout levels. Obviously, we took a rip when we finally got above there. Held this really nice. Where's the 200? Oh, yeah, it hasn't even traded out 200 weeks. I'm going to put that one there. We'll go to the daily now. Obviously, we are actually sitting at a pretty big level, huh? That's a pretty interesting one to take note of. Those little rejections there. It's also nice support here when we finally, well, failed and then became strong support. Big rejections. I mean, I think you can trade this thing a couple of ways right now. Really a break, and we did kind of close below it. I mean, really a break below somewhere, you know, in this range, and we're likely gonna, you know, drop that buck, almost $2 down to the 31.50 area. So it could offer a nice short, but can also start to look for a dip to buy. I actually didn't know that UPST had been getting smoked so bad on this move. Like, wow, it's down bad. It's down 30% or something. But almost getting to a point where it looks potentially viable. 29% drop, even more from up here, huh? Oops. Yeah, that thing's smoked. I think it can be played one of two ways. You take the high risk long entry somewhere in here, assuming that we are going to get, you know, that we obviously know we had big volume, we had big buying, we had all that stuff followed by a huge breakout. You know, a lot of these terrible names were running though through December. But I think this little zone is kind of the area to play off. It depends if you're, you know, if you're a bullish buyer on this company, look for those longs up. If you're bearish because you think their whole business model is kind of psycho, look for a pullback all the way down 31.50. And then again, we got the 200-day down here. So you got a nice few bucks down. Whereas if we start pushing up, I mean, this gap could fill quick up there to 40. I like the reward to the upside more than the downside, but both could be played very, very well from right here. Okay, so that's UPST, Ricky. And like no major, I mean, obviously trend is down. We could draw that trend, but it wouldn't, I mean, we might as well draw it just for people who want to see it. I mean, next candle's opening here. So it could actually kind of be at that make or break point tomorrow. I'm happy I drew the trend in the end. You know, if we trade into this trend, you could always try to short it down there with the stop above the trend. But kind of in a tradable little zone, this 33.30, 33.40 up to 34 area, pretty tradable, I would say, and a cheaper one, you know. Okay, what do we got next? UPST, Disney. Everyone always trying to catch Disney. Nobody ever catching it. This thing's just the value trap, man. People aren't convinced yet. Finally holding that 200 day. Well, I mean, the same as many, many, many things on the market right now. We got our 200 day right there. I mean, you don't, I'm not short Disney here. That's for sure. I'm also not a buyer at Disney, but okay. Let's get a little zoom out action. Try to find some nice, and then, you know, same, like you're seeing, this is what I do. When somebody asks me on Trade Floor, what do you think of this stock? You're seeing exactly what I do to give my response. Get up there. And a couple levels on there real quick. We're looking on the 4-hour. I mean, this is pretty cut and dry on Disney right here, in my opinion. You don't want to be short. Let's see how much room we got. We're at 90. You basically got a $1.30 a downside to that 200-day. As we've seen, it's been strong, even held us here and tried to pop us, selling, as a lot of the market has been. Get into dip buy mode, 89.7. And then if we don't get the dip buy, we stop out below this trend, tiny risk if we happen to pull all the way back down here, tiny risk. And then we totally look to roll in short, because if we do give this up, we're giving up the 200-day, we're giving up the 50-day, we're giving up the major trend that's holding it, and we're giving up all of the support that it has right here. So this, whatever, wherever we are, we'll call it 89.50 for safety, 89.50, 60 area. If we're down there and selling pressure is increasing, volume is increasing, big volume sell day or anything like that, easy place to be short on Disney for a couple of bucks a downside. Of course, don't, trim on our way down, but easy place to be short or easy place to buy the dip. I love a setup like this. I love these kinds of things all the time. Ideal situation for either of them is draw down to this level, get long for the bounce, or break down, retest, and get short. And stops are just on the other side. So risk will be super, super tiny, at least in my opinion. And I hope you guys aren't sending me a bunch of like analyst trades that I'm talking about right now, because I try to not do that. 1424, Google. Google. It's like Toasty's arch enemy, man. Let's see. Don't have a lot right here. Sometimes when you aren't seeing, we know that there's stuff going on in this 134 to 138 area. So that is a time where sometimes I'll zoom into the 4-hour to see what's going on, because you'll get more detail. You can see, like, we didn't see this before, but to me, this was a level that was defended for days. And when it finally gave up, it broke down really nice. And when, it was even defended to break through. And when we broke through, we got a nice push above it. So when I see like a bunch of wicks on the 4-hour, something like that, I will always try to get those on the chart if I can. And then I'm just not seeing a whole lot more around here. That's a pretty big one. So why I'm marking that one, same deal here. Bunch of rejections, many 4-hour candles. Big break when we finally got above it. Selling below, some rejections, whatever it is, and then again, big break below it. So then now we go back to that daily time frame. Look at it on a daily time frame. Obviously, I mean, that's big. We're giving up the 20-day. So again, like I said, a lot of things in the market, and everybody knows I love the SMAs. I trade them heavily. Like I preach that if we are around SMAs, trade them, and so this one's giving us a pretty nice line in the sand trade right here. 136.60, or let's see where it actually is falling. 136.37 is where it's at right now. Pretty easy to short bounces up into that. And if we break above, stop out. Or if we break back over it, any pullback into that 136.60, whatever I said, area, very playable. Let's see, 136.50. So yeah, I mean, we closed just a touch below it. So this will likely be that level to trade around tomorrow, 136.60 area. I mean, but we have big data in the morning, so chances are these levels are all going to get, oh yeah, look, that was nice. Chances are these levels are all going to get blown out of the water after the data tomorrow. But if we're lucky enough to have it open around here, or any retest back to it, whether we've broken up and we pulled back, or we've broken down, we're bouncing up to it. I don't care which way we trade it. But very tradable in my opinion. Actually a great place. I sure like it a lot more than up here at 140 where people were trying to get long on it. but looking pretty good. Trend is down. No denying that. How's it doing on this super big? Good. Weekly looks really bad right now. But yeah, for me, and then even if you don't want to take this trade around here, you can wait and let this trade come to you, and maybe we trade over into here some sideways action, and if we can get to where this trend is meeting this level, then I start to really like either the short or the breakout a lot more. So if we can have, I like seeing, I won't say it's consolidating, nice big move, but it is, we're technically all these candles are all in the same range, So you can either trade the range breaks, trade the trend break, trade the SMA break or bounce or whatever it is. So Google, very tradable, market giving us, whether you like to be long or short, there's likely opportunity on Google no matter what you like. If you just wait a couple of days, you will get the trade that you want. Let's see. Oh man, we're getting a lot more things in here. I should probably pick up the pace, huh? Google, Tesla, of course, the enemy. Hate this stock. Yes, love seeing that stock back under there. I was just labeled Gunter. I must have been. Oh yeah, you guys don't want to see that one. Tesla. So Tesla, love talking about it so much. It's just my favorite. So first thing to always take note of on Tesla, still in a downtrend. One of the only big names that hasn't broken out. It is actually still, I mean, depending on how you look at it, pretty dang clobbered. Not doing so good, in the grand scheme of things. Long ways off. Let's see, we got 43% off all-time highs still, which is weird, I mean, people have finally kind of started to call the bluff on Tesla for what it is. But failure to break this weekly trend has just been nonstop. Then the next trend that a lot of us were, kind of watching was this one, which is a more minor, big picture, more minor trend. But we really failed to hold above the breakout, so now we are back below the breakout, trading near all the SMAs, and Tesla is, it has been range bound, I mean, we've spent most of our time between like 230 and 260 going on, 5 months now, something like that. So Tesla's still being easy, still trade those trends that we have right here. As far as levels, kind of the same stuff that we've had, going on. That's, when you're range trading, that's what you get. You always want to look for the major highs, any big rejection points, any big areas of consolidation. We're going to slap a box around this one just to make it super apparent where we are. Big consolidation zone, right back into it. Obviously, when we're right in the middle of a range, and intraday scalps and everything, of course, fine. But when we're right in the middle of a range, other than it's 240, I don't like to trade it all that much. Tesla is, as we zoom in now, we got a few levels to trade around. And then likely you should obviously have like the range top on here. We're at a nice little point where a move could come. I don't like getting long on Tesla right here. We're below 240, we're below trend. So for how I trade, I don't take longs here, I also don't take shorts here typically when it's just right in the middle of the range. However, it's Tesla, so it can make a very nice volatile move down to the bottom of this range, but just to stop over 240, nice and simple. However, as we come down here, you can see the potential reward is minimal. I don't think Tesla's given up its 200-day. I don't think it's given up the bottom of this range. So by the time we get to 232, in my opinion, Tesla puts are completely off the table. It's not a trade that you want to be in if we pull all the way down to 232. I think ideal world, we do pull down to 232 over a couple of days, get closer to this trend, get closer to the bottom of this range. Then we try to play that breakout through the range, through the trend, all like big move upside with minimal risk to downside. If we can be buying calls, in middle of next week, something like that, around 232, the 200-day will have snuck its way up to here. That will be one of the better, like low risk, high reward Tesla trades we've seen in a long time. So that's how I'll be looking to trade Tesla. But we don't just, we can have our ideal trade, but we also want to look at what the market might provide. So a few other trades that we could potentially be watching is when this candle opens tomorrow, we're going to be pretty close to this trend in this 240 area. So we could get a nice explosive pop above it, buying pullbacks into that. Or we could push up into this trend in this 240 area and sell off. We just want to let the market decide for us, and it's given us pretty cut and dry areas to trade around. So for Tesla, that's really all I'm watching. Still like the crazy thing. So another crazy thing that I was actually like talking with somebody about with Tesla recently. So here's the split day on Tesla. It's just been obliterated ever since. But basically, everybody who bought Tesla shares leading into the Tesla split is underwater at this point, and you can see there was like, dramatic reduction in share buying and all that stuff leading into the split. So all of these people around here are underwater on their post-split shares. So I do think when we finally get to moving, 300's that likely target. I mean, some of them got to escape here. That's likely what we saw a lot of this selling, for that month and a half through whenever it was, middle July, June, whenever that was. Some got to escape here, not enough got to escape. So I'll be looking for, at some point, who knows when, a push to this 300, 315 area to finally save those, split holders. Because, I mean, I hate Tesla, but like, let's be real, it dropped from 300 to 100 in a couple of months, a few months, right after a split. That was just wild, and so that's the final target on Tesla. But for now, when we look at it, who cares about all that other stuff? We're playing this little trend break right here, looking for $10 up, $10 down. Anything, that's all we're looking for. Okay, there we go. Oh yeah, we covered that. Dip buy. Dang, someone asking for Lululemon. What's that thing up to? Probably still just ripping faces always, man. What an impressive stock, huh? Recession proof. Well, so main thing we want to note, obviously, is going to be this previous. I'm assuming this is all-time high. This is as far back as I'm looking for all-time high. And then we kind of want to get in that area. Where else do we see issues for it, So those are going to be the couple issues I see. And by issues, I just mean like breakdowns, breakups, whatever it may be. Upside here. I like that kind of little, where we get the gap up, and then push. I like that move. Oh, those earnings must come out like that. Oh yeah, so that's the earnings move, and then the next day we even got a little more gap up. Yeah, I like that. That'll be a big level. Obviously 500, huge. Giving up the 20-day, which is basically, yeah, what's the 20-day? 498. As with most things in the market, kind of giving us opportunity to trade. I love it when a market gives us a pullback. Me and Shark and Tilly were hoping on this sort of situation. Nice pullback forming. Not going to be bullish until I would say we can reclaim the 20, but I'm more going to say 500. You don't want to be getting long at 498, and you want to be getting long above 500. It will cost you a little bit more, but it's going to, it's going to save you in the long run. Because if you buy calls at 498, that thing has a high chance of rejecting at 500. So a few ways to play it. Like I said, break of that 20 and the 500 to get long, $500 to get long, or rejection of 500 to get short. Downside, I think obviously this 486 area, that held us strong and ripped us $20 or whatever it was, $30. So that's really going to be the main target on this thing. Obviously, if we can get below there selling, we can get us all the way down to that 470 big breakout after those earnings, like we can go down and fill that eventually. But you don't want to be greedy past about this 486, at least in my opinion. Let's be real here. You get like a $10 drop or whatever. That's plenty. And so couple ways to play it, but leaning short, at least tentatively, no reason to be short on this company. It ain't going anywhere. Trend is down. Nice tight little channel down though. Could definitely provide a really, oh yeah, I mean, playing that trend break over 500 over the 20-day could pay really nice. But tomorrow could be a nice, could end up being a nice mover for it. Let's look at it a little bit closer. It's not quite that close though. Yeah, hate how those things get blown out. Yeah, I mean, that's really looking pretty tradable if I'm gonna be honest with you. Some Lululemons on a Friday. Sounds like a good time. But yeah, lower target 486, upper target obviously just going to be eventually back up to those all-time highs, but you'll be looking for that 508 first for sure. Even that, oops, even somewhere, yeah, somewhere right around there, that 505, but that 500 to 505 could happen real quick for you. So nice trade. Good eye, whoever asked that. Minty, right on. Danny Girl asking about on really. Wow. Did sushi get you in this or something? Seems like something he'd like. Looks horrible. I mean, there's nothing bullish about it, I don't think. I bet it's gonna be like the biggest runner in the market tomorrow. I mean, pretty easy thing to be short on, right? I mean, any bounces up to that 28 should be shorted. It's likely gonna go down to these. I mean, the gap's halfway filled. Bottom of the gap's down there. I mean, I am not bullish on right now. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, I mean, this I don't like a trade anywhere. I mean, we missed the breakdown on it. You could get a bounce up there to short it. That's really the trade that I like. You could potentially take that risky short below what was this previous resistance breakout, breakouts right there. You could take the short below or the long above, but I don't love where it's at. I mean, the ideal one, as far as actually making some decent money on contracts, would be if you could catch this rejection, play the 26 puts, and if you can run it from 26.30 and then take them in the money even to this 25.74 low of day, that would pay really, really nice. But I'm sure that they might have 26.50s, but really you'd have to play the 27s, and they would be hard to make good money on. We did Google. Coin. I mean, we can look at coin, but I got no idea. I mean, everything in this stock's whole world revolves around that ETF news. I mean, it is going to be volatile. It is going to continue to be volatile. It's somehow not tracking super well with Bitcoin. I mean, it's kind of out there doing its own thing right now. Obviously, cautiously bullish on it. I'm not bearish on coin. I sure like people buying coin shares. 140 to 150 area a lot more than I liked them buying the 180 area. But dips can be bought all the way down to basically this 138 trend, in my opinion. But technicals can only get you so far on coin. If you're ignoring what the crypto market as a whole is doing, then you're trading coin wrong, or Mara, or any of those things wrong, in my opinions. So we can watch these levels, we can watch these areas, but like if Bitcoin ain't ripping, coin ain't ripping. And if Bitcoin ain't dumping, well, coin apparently will dump sometimes when Bitcoin doesn't quite dump. But for now, I mean, buy these dips all the way down to 140. I would not be taking a whole position on coin shares right now, a week away from that ETF news, because we have no idea if it's going to be good or bad for not only the crypto market, but especially like the miners and the exchange market. Because big money would feel safer in a BlackRock or whoever hosted ETF than they would feel holding a bunch of Bitcoin on Coinbase, in my opinion. What does my setup look like for day trading? I got a few screens, and then really I just have like the 4 big names that I like to watch: Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Tesla, on one screen. And then on another screen, I got SPY and QQQ. And then on another screen, I have whatever stocks I'm trading, with my active traders on it. AMD, yeah, let's check it out. Yeah, well, I hit it today. I mentioned it in my tab, but we hit it around here, and then I was fully out up here. This was a nice one. I said when we talked in lecture a couple days ago. So funny enough, we broke down here, and then I mean, I don't know, the market sold heavier than I expected. I think heavier and quicker and I expected we broke down. So I think we were like looking at this day. And then I believe my words were if AMD pulls down to 135, I will fucking hammer calls. So when we had that breakdown and then the reclaim and the pullback to 135, I hammered some calls like the plan was. Took them up to that, and I didn't hold them that long. I'm sure I got out on like this somewhere around here, this previous high, that's when I got out, But I like the AMD dip buy. When you look at it on the real big picture, this 135.60-ish area to me is huge. Like I think that everybody should have their eyes on that 135 area. As we've seen, if we look at slightly longer time frames, it has been defended heavily, but when we break below it, we can see some pretty aggressive selling pretty quickly, and so it can be played either way, up or down. But I mean, I can't help but buy dips on chips. It's worked too good all year. Disney, yeah, they did have a bunch of Right 6R, but aren't they like all the old ones from like the 1930s and nobody even knows those characters anymore? Would I get out right when it breaks or let it fights? I wish I remembered what chart I was looking at when you said that. I'm a long ways behind. I'm 20 minutes behind on messages. Let's see. IWM. Oh, the inverse hammer candle. Yeah, we got that one on the chart. We'll pull that one up here in a second. So IWM, I was actually talking this one with my buddy Tyler today. Not sure if he's in here right now. Tricky, man, because as we've been talking, some of these small caps and these, things like that are they're running, and you don't want to bet against them. Like we've had some really big selling, I mean, IWM's what, $20 off highs or something like that. I don't know how many exactly. And so it's not something you really want to bet, or you want to bet against. The main thing, we can even see our circle from when I was talking to him earlier. The main thing that I was watching was just this gap right here. The gap has now been filled. Edges of gaps tend to act as a nice, strong support. We got the big data tomorrow. It's likely going to decide if we bounce or drop. Like jobs data's moved the market. So it will decide what happens. But for me, I did take a little super cheap speculative upside bet that will either pay really well or be completely blown out of the water tomorrow. Just based on the fact that, we held this range. We didn't like being out of this range. We held this range. So unfortunately, because I didn't buy time, if we don't get the bounce into open tomorrow, I get destroyed. And if we break down, I get destroyed. So I won't have the opportunity to get out. However, this 193 really all the way down to, 193.40, something like that. I'll look to buy dips on IWM. It's a horrible chart. It looks really bad and all of that stuff, but it's at, gap fills are important. So I'll buy dips all the way down to there. But then if we look like we're going to break down, we do have this excessive breakout, one of the bigger moves I've seen IWM ever make. Could see some nice selling if we end up giving up this gap. But for me, leaning tentatively long on IWM. And then obviously 194.50, 195. Those are the big ones. Oh yeah, Crash, we're gonna get to that. Yeah, the 900 split. Tesla just demolished. Decreasing volume on it, huh? Yeah, kinda. I wouldn't really say that. I mean, I would say it's just pretty consistent Tesla volume right now. 100 million volume is plenty. When you consider it's a $237 stock, 100 million times 237 is a lot of dollars. Okay, so we're just gonna pull this up for Crash, because he believes that this is and I couldn't tell you because it won't let me have the full name. He thinks that this is an inverse hammer. However, I hadn't broken the news to him yet that really you would need this is where it opened and this is where it closed. You would need this to be the open and this to be the close. But he got a spot on the chart of the friends, This is where Chris down here, we had Chris saying SPY to 403 the day the market bottomed. Bowman that same day said market dying rest of the year. 2 days later, Zach said SPX looks weak, and we're now up $60 from there, $50 from there. So we're gonna see how the old inverse hammer plays out for Crash. We checked AMD. Lululemon. Oh yeah, we saw that. That was a good one. Some Lululemons on a Friday. You like that one? SoFi. Why not? Yeah. Well, that's a shit stock. Let's check it out. Wow. It was doing so good a few days ago. Unfortunately, our pump and dump pyramid, it almost played out perfect. You see, like it was pretty close. I thought we had a little more downside, but I drew this pump and dump pyramid this day and send it to MMA. So that's pretty good analysis overall. It did end up working out for us. But the expected move on the dump, we didn't quite hit back to 5. But yeah, SoFi really down to here. I mean, this 200 day, just like everything else. I mean, it's trading around all these SMAs. You can keep on buying these dips all the way down to here. SoFi probably not going anywhere. I do think their business model is horrible and they got a lot of debt, but we'll see. But dips all the way down 775 area. Or we want to see strength, above some of these 8s, 9s to really start pushing up again. But really dip buys down to here. You can honestly probably even short it down to here. We do have that pesky consolidation, but short below the low of day to day for sure. Danny Grill. Live report, Bitcoin dumping hard. Well, when somebody told me that coin was ripping, it was up $1 earlier. So let's see if you're telling the truth. Oh yeah, Bitcoin in fact did just take a nice little $1,000 dump. That was a nice one, but they're buying it. Is anybody bearish on Robinhood? Yeah, why not? Terrible stock. Look at this chart. I think it's just not like, look at that wild pump, and then just give back 15%. That is just wild, Yeah, not looking too good for that thing. Terrible stock. Look at that chart. That thing is just so bad. Not something I want to be bullish on. Look, that was a perfect rejection. We should have shorted that one. We aren't actually going to analyze Robinhood because it's terrible. Will I be bearish below 192 IWM? Let's pull that chart so I can give you some more levels. Really, I mean, I won't say that I'm bearish, but yeah, looking for some continued selling, I will say. I won't say that I'm bearish. When you look on it, big picture, we've broken all these major trends. I mean, there's even, people always redraw trends, but I'm not so into the redrawn trend, but we're even well above this trend that people were, the bears were repping earlier. And so I'm not necessarily bearish on it. Will I be shocked in a pullback all the way down to 187? No, but I'm not expecting it. I would definitely expect a bounce to see at least a relief bounce here sooner than later. Still not liking that. This thing is just wild. Diabetes drug for weight loss. Apparently that's all you need to be rich. I mean, that 600 was like a buy. 600 the place to be trying to get long on this thing, in my opinion, with the tight stop below it, ugly daily candle, but yeah, buy those dips down to 600. And then if we give up 600, play that gap fill to 591, that'll be a print fest. But yeah, it's hard, it's always hard to trade these kinds of things when they're just up, they are really up there. They don't have a lot of data in this area. We obviously kind of held this little breakdown today. You could try to play that's probably about where I would be basing my trades, around it's so expensive, 612 to 614 range, something like that. And short below there, long bounces off there. And then again, 600 long, or if it breaks down, try to catch that gap fill to the downside. You don't think it needs to be green? I thought it needed to be green. I don't know. I don't trade those name candles. I have to talk to Zora about that. Is that your favorite one? QQQ. Yeah, let's talk QQQ. Why not? So QQQ obviously just getting smoked. Like we talked earlier this week. Hey, we should probably watch for like a little bit of a pullback on QQQ. I think that was on was that on Tuesday? So yeah, probably this day we should watch for a pullback on QQQ. There was not even a part of me that thought we were going to get a $10 pullback on QQQ. But as we start coming down this 395, these big breakout areas, starting to look like we can look for some longs. Trend is still down. I'm still not jumping in front of this train quite yet. just shorting the bounce on QQQ has just worked like over, like QQQ is shorting tech has just been working. So I'm going to continue to short tech until it doesn't work, but I'm not bearish. I'm just, we're just getting a nice pullback after like, I mean, after we had like what, 8 straight green weeks and a 30 I mean, what a 60, almost $70 run and 20% since October. I mean, that was, that like this pullback was needed and welcomed, but to me, we're getting this pullback to get some, nice, good dip buying opportunities. Okay, and I see it's 6 o'clock, so if anybody got to get out of here, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you being here, but I will try to get through, we got a couple more on here, and so we'll try to get through those and go from there. So SPY, same thing. We're coming to dip by area. We gave up this 20. I won't be fully trying to get, bullish until we break, because the trend break is also going to be the 20 break. So that's where I'll be looking to really like, swing some long stuff like that on it. But for now, I'm sure not diving in short until we give up low of day today. Big area for us. So when we give up low of day today, we can start looking for that, 465. Maybe I highly doubt it, but all the way down to 460. I won't even say I doubt it. I mean, 460 could easily come. But stay, for now, basically stay short and bounces. But again, like I've been, I'm really trying to repeat this a lot today. Data tomorrow could change all of this. I might be leaning towards short bounces for now. I might be leaning towards short bounces for now, but that could all change tomorrow. If trends are breaking, SMAs are breaking, if everything's breaking to the upside, then you switch long, But for now, barring data, I'm still looking to short bounces just based on the technicals for now. Oh, Josh, Tesla, Nvidia. Boeing, did we look at that one? Classic Boeing, just getting just the bad news magnet. I think we even talked about that one here on Tuesday and said, oh yeah, we could probably short below that consolidation. I missed that one. I don't know, AB the genius, and he's a genius. He keeps telling me that we're going to 240 on this thing. I don't know if he's right yet or not, but at 240, you likely got to look to buy that thing at 240. Same as anything else, look at what 240 did here, and then look at what 240 did here. You won't necessarily get one of those reactions, but you can always try to catch one of those reactions. And when we have a mostly bullish market, even, dealing with a pretty dramatic sell-off right now, when we have a mostly bullish market, I still look to buy dips as opposed to assume that this is going to break. But that 241.70 all the way down to 240 going to be a nice area to trade. If we can get below it, let's go hit that 234. Maybe would be sweet. BA, QQQ, we done did that. Nvidia, Tesla. What time is data before market open? What is Zach on your levels mean? That's just a friend of ours, and he loves to he's been bearish. He's been bearish like all year long, like since the bottom. It's hilarious. So these are just these are quotes that Zach said. Like this one was actually a pretty good one. But he said it here, and then we broke above it like a couple of days later. So that one still was pretty funny. Then he called this the top right here because of like YouTube video or something that he saw that he didn't like. So he felt like that was the top. Then we just rallied on it. So that's Zach. This was also when he said the top is in. I think he said it a little more aggressively than that. And then as you can see, we rallied $20 off of there. This right here was where he said SPX looks weak. We rallied 60 off of there. So that's just Zach, he's just the guy. Okay, well, if that's gonna do it, everybody, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you being here. And oh yeah, this one is so good. Look at this. SPY to 403. And I literally went back and found this to the minute, She said SPY to 403 while we were breaking out, and we never visited that price again. Yeah, thank you everybody. I really appreciate you for coming. This was a great one. This one's really good though. Zach just got Zach's just arch enemy was Nvidia this year. I do have another good one, which I quit updating after a while because it was just so bad. All of these circles are literally days that Pris said get short. Like all of these levels were Pris saying short. Yeah, thank you everybody. Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks Danny and Danny Grout #2. Yeah, I appreciate all of you. Yeah, Ricky, that's what I'm saying, man. They had us knocking on the doorstep and snatched it away. Okay, well, that's gonna do it, everybody. Thank you so much. And you know, if you got any questions, always feel free to shoot me a DM or you want to send me charts or anything. I'm always happy to look at them. And thanks for being here. Yeah, this one even gets worse. She was screaming at us to short the 200 weekly. She almost bottom ticked the market. Yeah, thank you everybody, and we will catch you all tomorrow. Have a great night. Trade safe on Friday, and we'll catch you later.